under pressure and felt very, very nervous. So they ended up rushing Baron when they had no reason to and kind of throwing away their advantage. And in P1's case, when they threw at Baron, it ended the game.
Maybe it really just speaks to how much tension was actually in that game, that the players were buying into that and continuously going back to it. Kind of just had everybody going for a loop. Now we're into draft phase for game number 2. And you might see the triple red side ban here coming from Chronologic Gaming as they start with Rengar.
Yeah, CLG less happy to make those trades as, you know, Inori is such an incredible Rengar player.
Right.
Xmithie obviously not nearly as comfortable on that champion, so they're not really going to be happy making the Rengar for LeBlanc kind of trade most of the time, especially not against a player of Inori's caliber. So it's likely going to lead us to see the triple red side ban and a first round of Reliant Soul now this time. So P1 really worried about that champion. It does speak to Huhi's strength on it and just the kind of season that he's having. Huhi has been really good this season, and Reliant Soul does things that other champions don't really do.
Yeah.
Take Aphro off Playmaker.
That was the ooh. Very interesting that they would just say, don't want that, not in Adrian's pool house to play right away. Or maybe getting ourselves a Nami if it's not banned out on that side. Jayce, a big pickup. 80 carries are all up here as we start this. Maokai was CLG's first grab to start game 1. And that Jayce coming in. It'll be Ryu.
Well, yeah, it certainly could. We have not seen Jayce do well whatsoever in the top lane in North America. Has an abysmal win rate, something like 3-10 in top lane. It's doing a lot better in the mid lane, though.
It feels better as well.
It does, because you can have still a super tank on your team. You have the ways to engage. You have the ways to utilize the strengths and the advantages that Jayce gets for himself. When you don't have a tank, when you don't have a primary form of engage, and Jayce is in the top lane, teams struggle to actually utilize their advantages, and they are giving over a very powerful first round for CLG. Should be Kha'Zix and Varus, I would expect, which is really, really good.
As well, taking that Varus away from Arrow really helps. Keep your HP in the late game, if you will.
They could go Maokai here, too, if they want. It depends what they're actually going to prioritize. And do they want that Tree of Life? And that is a solid option, especially if you think that this could be flexed to mid. Then you could be taking the Maokai away from Zig still. So there's kind of some back and forth there to take into consideration.
I was totally on you with Maokai mid there. I was like, really? Speak to me, Azael. Speak to me.
Hey, Xmithie used it at All-Stars.
There you go.
There was Nautilus mid was a thing for a little while. You know, when you're playing against champions like Vladimir and stuff, you could go Banner of Command Rush Nautilus, and he actually has like, no auto attack damage and couldn't deal with it, so it's pretty comical to watch.
Pop your shield and bop. So we are going to see that Maokai getting picked up on the side of Chronologic Gaming. This draft phase definitely going a bit slower. We saw this being a Graves and a very fast Jhin pickup here on Chronologic Gaming side. But P1 saying, all right, took away that Varus. Want to grab the Jhin. They will still grab their 80 carry.
I would certainly expect the Graves to get locked in here for CLG because I don't think they're going to want Xmithie to go further down in the jungle priority. He did very well on Graves last game with Rengar off the table. Kha'Zix already picked. Graves makes sense. We have not seen Xmithie bringing out the Ivern. That would be another option for a lot of junglers in the NALCS now, but Xmithie yet to show it as far as I know.
Just wait, look at them actually using all of these, or all of these, I was going to say last 6 seconds, but using the entire time, rather, to talk it out, knowing Graves was going to be the pickup, but saying, hey, we'll do this if they do this. Right now, already talking about win conditions.
Yeah, and that's a good point. They talk a couple steps ahead, right? Even if you know your first 3 picks 100%, you'll often see teams take the entire 30 seconds to discuss what options are going to be. Hey, they could be talking about, okay, if Jayce is going mid, this is what we want to do. If Jayce is going top, this is what we want to do. So then you're not really caught off guard when those rotations, when those swaps can be made at the end of the draft.
See Zix taking right to the communication as he says, all right, Zyra's banned, XXX. I'm sure that's what he said too. Looking for phase 2 ban here on the side of Phoenix1. What do they feel like they can start to pinch out on the side? Mid is there to be cut a little bit, but a lot of mids are still open. They will choose Cass.
Taking Cassiopeia down, that to me is not a super impactful one. It probably signifies that they want to try to take Rise, which will very likely force Chronologic Gaming's hand to ban the Rise if they're not willing to pick it first. So this is kind of trying to get your opponents to tip their hand. Since they're going to ban out the Nami, you kind of ban the natural counter to that Rise. So you either have to be willing to put him on it and take something else, or just give it up and we'll see what CLG wants to do.
Cassiopeia also makes it a very bad day for a Jayce and a Kha'Zix to jump in if they have the time to. So it's good to have that off the map for various reasons.
Yeah, Corki has been something that Rio has been going to time and time again.
Yeah.
But Corki will not be banned away. So a lot of target bans based on the success of last game. Echo and Thresh both taken away. And Huhi is taking a lot of pressure in this ban phase.
They are testing that champion pool. There's enough to be banned out. Let's see, he definitely has more. He played a Syndra yesterday, but it was not up to par, although it was very focused in the early game. What is CounterLogic Gaming going to go with? Sona reflecting back to MSI. Will it happen? Karma, maybe the pickup here for Aphromoo so they can keep a little space and safety in the bot lane. Take that away from Adrian as well.
Now it's up to Ryu. Does he want the Corki? Does he want the Rise? Both of those options are on the table. And you'll likely see Huhi play the other side of that matchup unless he wants to go something that is a less common route. Or, you know, he obviously has Orianna on the table here too. Can work very well with the Maokai, so some options on both sides.
Yep.
But Huhi will be able to choose his side of the matchup, and he's gonna have that advantage. Wow, okay.
Ooh, pretty squishy
So this
team
is
here for
Jayce
P1.
mid now. It's Jayce mid, Rumble top, Lulu support. Very squishy.
All right, so you're gonna look to get ahead again in this game. P1, highly volatile team comp coming out here in round 2. Well, what do they say on the side of CounterLogic Gaming? Like, all right, yep, we're gonna be fighting as much as we wanted to already with a bit of poke and Darshan going in. Let's add some more poke. It seems like the pick that should be locked in, that Corki, to go along with the Varus once again. Thought for a moment that might be P1s, but they did grab the Jayce first. So we have our teams for draft number 2. Xmithie's going back on that Graves, Inori back onto his Kha'Zix, so junglers get to kind of feel comfortable going into game 2. Huhi steals over the Corki this time, but we do see the Jayce actually get through picks and bans.
And Jayce is going to be mid, which I have really liked its performance in mid lane, but it's not paired with any tanks whatsoever, so it can still struggle from the same issues.
Yeah.
They are going to have to be careful about that. That said, there's so much backline threat from this P1 team. When you drop the equalizer down, if you get tagged as a squishy by a shock blast and the equalizer goes down, curtain call comes up, it's very easy to get people low and set them up for Inori to jump in and go for the executes.
Yep. CounterLogic Gaming come up with the win in game 1. P1 looking to keep this series alive. Coach is heading off now as they leave their players with the last bits of information. Don't lose being one of them. It's always
always good advice.
Tried and true since the
kill
beginning
their
of
Nexus
sports.
before they kill ours. Another solid one. Buy pinks.
Sure, that's like the art of someone.
I sincerely hope there's not the kind of advice that NALCS full-time coaches are giving their players.
Hashtag P1, hashtag CLG win. That's why I'm not a coach. We're heading on to the Rift now for a second game. P1 versus CounterLogic Gaming. Get your votes in, get your claps in, and the cheers. There's no cheers. We're going to be seeing if this one gets a little bit cleaned up. Teams have calmed their mentalities after game 1. It was a bit messy all around the board. And we'll see if Baron gets the better of both of these teams. Once again, we're into the game. We're on the Rift. Let's see how CounterLogic Gaming can do and if P1 keeps it alive.
Gonna need to win here to force a game 3, and more importantly, to stop themselves from losing 3 straight games and falling to 4-4. You know, this was a team that was 4-1 not long ago, and really does not want to have that kind of plummet in the standings. Big things were expected from them and their roster, and they had, for the most part, shown up. But sometimes you can fall victim to the pressure in these intense situations.
We see teams even kind of giving a little bit more trouble. Echo Fox C9 yesterday was a much closer game. You know, even though the teams in the top of the standings keep doing well, you get to watch more of them each week. Find a little bit more out and things you can get under their skin with.
With C9, it's one of those things, though, where, you know, a couple of series that they've had that have been close are when they subbed in Ray. And it still feels like,
that's a good
with
point.
Impact, it's very hard to actually deal with these guys. And, you know, when push comes to shove, both series that Ray played the start of, Impact subs in, C9 wins.
It is true.
And he has just been so good for them. So, just even the fact that
But they can look at that. They can look at that No, I'm just
They can. They can look at that. Bait them into a false sense of security.
There's
make
the
them play
info.
right.
All right, let's get started in the jungle. There are some deep wards coming in this time. P1 gets a little bit of information towards that top side on a deep red ward.
And no tricky starts like last game for CLG. Xmithie going to probably go right to that red buff, and they will have vision on him. So last time they did kind of guess it out, but he was able to do a tricky start in combination with Darshan and go for that early level 2 gank mid lane. Don't think we're going to see anything like that this time around.
Took him a little bit longer than he wanted to get it. Inori's just taking it slow. He'll be fine though. Zig and Darshan start to go at it in the top lane. Expect Zig to be a little more pushed here and give Darshan some trouble in the beginning of the game. Levels up 2 nice and early.
Zig has played Rumble once before. He had actually quite a good game on it. It was in a loss, but he looked strong, and this should be a nice matchup for him. It can be pretty tough for the Maokai to actually fight back in that 1v1. You will get shoved in. You will likely get bullied out, and it's going to be a lot about gank assist and teamfight presence and just kind of staying alive in lane and trying to farm it out, because although Rumble can smash you in the 1v1, if your jungler comes, you can lock that guy down and have the DPS to kill him.
That's just it. This is almost deja vu here for Zig. Flip it around, and he was Graggish pushed up in the lane just about this time, and we saw Xmithie come up. So he's falling into this repetition, but he's still getting himself out safely. Maybe something CLG can look at as well. However, Xmithie's on the bot side, so Zig has all the time in the world to keep Darshan at his turret. A little bit of lane control by P1 as they push up quite hard too here to start things off.
Xmithie is wrapping right back around up to the top side.
Yeah, there's a
I'll be interested if he actually skips the Krugs and goes straight in. He may want to wait. Yeah, he's just going to go right for this. So he's trying to do a very non-traditional jungle path, do something that his opponent does not expect. Does actually back off. I think Zig took a step back there, and he may have felt like he was spotted, but
maybe they said wait for him to clear this one more wave, because he keeps coming in closer each time he has a chance to clear one, so maybe they'll get him on the mark they want. Yeah. As long as Darshan doesn't give it away.
I mean, Xmithie started topside and it ended back up topside, whereas Inori cleared straight top to bottom. They have spotted him out, so I think that's going to give them the confidence to go for this gank. Yeah, with this spot on Inori in the bottom, will he go in? No, the ward, the back off.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Fortunately, the way for Darshan pushing up with actually a lot of casters after being built up there, so he's sitting now in the mid lane. Zig's a little bit safer, but it's not going to stop Xmithie from getting Scuttle. Still hovering top side of the blue jungle.
Yeah, we'll be able to pick up at least that, but pings are going down on the blue side jungle. They're expecting Xmithie to be around that, and they're trying to show the respect that he could be there. And in the mid lane, these guys battling back pretty evenly, but nice trade from Ryu. Takes a tower shot.
Huhi holding the exhaust, knows how much damage he can take early. But Ryu using form change to nicely pressure down on some damage to keep Huhi pushed into the turret. Easy farming for him though. Xmithie now having a chance to look mid. He's all in Raptor duty, however. So definitely a little quieter here. Xmithie for the past 2 games we saw yesterday as well, doing level 2 red ganks. As you said, CLG a little calmer on trying trickery in the early game. So keeping this one standard, they want to just try to get a nice early game from the lanes. Pressure onto Stixxay.
And there was actually already a base from Arrow, and Stixxay is still here in lane and wasn't able to push it in. So the back timings are actually pretty bad for CLG. Being in lane with just your longsword against that serrated Dirk plus
And you're up here.
Yeah.
Pushed all the way up.
So, I mean, the fact of the matter is they're going to lose a decent bit when they do finally base. They're going to lose at least 1 full wave. Yeah. So Xmithie is going to have to come down and hold that unless they want to try to pull something really tricky off.
They know it as well. So how greedy are they for this wave? They let it actually almost come back to reset before they fully clear it.
It's going to stay.
Yeah, they staged. He's sitting currently on 1,300-ish gold, so.
It's kind of tough when you actually do stay this long, because if you ever end up getting into a fight, your combat power is so much lower than your opponent's. But at least for them, Adrian had not based yet, so they had the kind of disorganized backs. And
I guess that's not the worst thing as well. You're going to get a tier and go back. So you may still not have power, but you're right. It all matters in the end.
Well, and even if it is that tier, right? Being able to start stacking it, getting closer to that Muramana, and being able to build that up. That can be pretty nice, although Varus is not a champion that stacks it super fast and often doesn't upgrade it until really like last item type style. It's still something you want to work away on.
It's up there 30-some minutes sometimes.
Back got stopped again. This is pretty bad. We'll see if he does end up getting held in spot. And now, now he has to base, and he feels like, oh god, I need to stay around. I can't just give up a full wave of minions. He doesn't feel like he can cede this much experience.
The next one coming in is a cannon too, and that's definitely not one you want to miss. A little close. Sun was in his eyes. He's good. He'll be fine. Get this hit. He farms that one out. 62 to 58. He's keeping up in minions. They say, yeah, this is a cannon wave. We need to actually pressure and get this one out of here. Currently sitting on 1,800 gold. Finally get himself back here.
Adrian will be here to try to freeze up the wave, hold it if he can, because Arrow is already going to be back. He bought 50 boots quickly on his way here and can stop that wave now. Ooh, Afro's probably going to flash.
Said, I gotta go, man. So this is, oh, first blood! I was gonna say, even if he can come back, this is gonna separate their timings, but Aphromoo doesn't respect the damage there, the flash forward as well.
He needed to early flash. I mean, I honestly don't know what he was doing. That was really bad from the CLG bot lane. The fact that they get so disorganized on their bases ends up in this sort of situation, and Aphromoo just gives up a straight up free first blood to Arrow. Really rough for a start for them. Not showing the respect deserved, and now Inori looking to set up a dive here on Huhi. If he stays around, could be in trouble.
Look at Ryu, Fog of War, Shock Blast. He was looking for right on the edge. He could fire one off to the left there. This blue buff is just allowing him to totally control Huhi in that lane. They haven't been able to get to theirs on the bot side. And now Arrow safely clearing out wards. See how confident they are to just be walking around here in the river this early in the game. They know they have a lot of control over that bottom to mid area.
Yeah, they really do. Look how much damage is already down on the turret, as well as the advantages that they gain because of the messed up back timings in the bot lane. Means they have a first blood advantage there. They have massive turret advantage in mid lane. The top lane is constantly getting
put up over Cloud Drake, but I feel like P1 just wants to keep these lanes going the way they are before they give up any time on that.
Yeah, the amount of vision they have around the CLG blue side is pretty ridiculous. Darshan roaming over to mid, looking to see if they can get anything done. Doesn't see it, and will have to head back up top to collect the wave, but likely going to miss almost an entire wave. And Zig's going to actually cut him off, so he is going to miss an entire wave top.
Package back, roam through the river. They're putting a lot of pressure onto mid lane right now, and Nori's just behind Ryu, so they could actually come out big if there was a dive, but it looks like CLG lets this one go to the wayside.
Oh, they're trying to go bot.
They'll have a good push on this. Quick draw over the wall. And this is actually going to be Huhi coming down as well. These early roams from Counter Logic Gaming. Wild Growth is on. They should have enough damage to finish him off. Huhi's going to be able to get the last kill. The lockup turret shot. It actually goes on to Aphromoo as the tether just breaks for Huhi.
CLG gets the kill here, but mid lane turret is going to go down very likely, and that's going to be a good trade for P1. That's first turret going their way, so one kill for the first turret and multiple summoners blown for CLG. They actually blew more summoners, and that's good for P1.
And look at these side shoulder wards already, as I say, all the way on the right. They can see Xmithie coming in, and Ryu's just nicely pushing up that mid lane, making sure he's getting everything extra. Will overheat, still has the second harpoon, but Darshan does not look like he's having a fun time haunting guys, and the blasting one for Zig is only met with that cowl so far.
Wants to go straight towards that Leandries.
Yeah.
Start getting some of that percent HP damage down onto the Maokai. And
they got to keep it up. They don't have that tank, so.
Exactly. You want to be winning lanes, and they are doing it. They have to keep that pressure rolling.
CS has actually evened out quite well across the lanes, finding that first turret in favor of mid lane. Has really been able to catapult these guys forward. Huhi holding off a lot of the attacks in mid. Ryu's been pretty aggressive, so good on him.
P1 looks like they want to go aggressive here. Once Arrow gets back, look for him to open up with the Jhin ultimate, and P1 to try to initiate Aphro. Is he going to check the bush?
They might have to go early. Oh, they go right over to Stixxay. Aphromoo flashes just to get the shield on. Could focus resolve under the turret. Inori just makes it out before that locks down on the tether. And Ryu's going in. They say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'll come out, no worries, no worries. They get out with that one kill.
Great job by P1. Nice pick onto Stixxay there. TP is a bit too much from Ryu, though. Will lose something for it. And Xmithie needs to be able to try to fight back. He needs to get something done elsewhere on the map. So they're going to at least try to take away the blue buff and maybe set up a dive onto Zig. But Zig, I think, has an idea this is coming.
Yeah, Zig's movement has actually been...
Look at that damage.
Ooh, Xmithie was not expecting collateral damage over the shoulder. And the rest of the team may be able to act on this. There might be Jayce coming up here. Ryu could get some nice shot glass in as they exit and find himself the damage.
And Xmithie actually has to be careful because Equalizer is available for Zig. He drops it down if he gets him.
They pull him in. Zig is being the biggest bait right now, and Ryu missed the shot blast, so Zig is gonna go down. The follow-up damage is too good for CLG. They play that one on the edge of their seats as Ryu could have picked up some big damage there.
Yeah, Zig did get the Equalizer down to clear out that minion wave, try to keep the turret alive, ends up losing his life and flash for it. Was a flash trade, but Ryu not able to hit the shock blast, can't clean anything up there. CLG gets a little bit back.
It is nice, too. The mid lane's been pushed by Ryu. He's now having to play a little bit of cleanup as he misses the top lane, takes care of that.
I mean, it was Ryu that TP'd bot lane, roamed top lane, and is up 20 CS, right? So he's doing very, very well for himself on this Jayce mid. Extremely dominant early stage of the game for him. Got that turret damage down. That got in the gold there. Ryu looking solid.
Remember his EU play also solid. He's always been very comfortable on Jayce, helping to control games. An instant clear in mid as well. The control wards have moved back slightly. P1 not feeling as comfortable with a forward position for those. They don't have enough to protect them anymore that these turrets are falling down. So good change in the game by both teams. Try and keep the snowball from happening. Next Drake is Infernal. We saw that first one going over to P1 as they got their bit of a lead in that ball.
CLG really just want to try to slow down the game and be able to get to the stage where they can even out the gold, erase some of those advantages, you know, keep it relatively close and just kind of farm it out. Get to the point where Darshan can really be a menace in those team fights and try to get those good flanks, because a lot of it is going to be about that, setting up the picks, setting up the flanks for them. Because P1, if you can't get a flank, they have so much damage coming out of their composition that they will kite you back and they will punch through that tank.
Yep. 14.5-minute Triforce for Huhi. Gets his first core item. Him and Xmithie are buddies in the jungle right now as they make their way down to see what they find an arrow in Adrian. Doesn't look like much. Just getting the ward clear on the Another Infernal Drake. It's going to be nice and big once it comes up.
Look at that shock blast. Half of Smithie's health is already the Edge of Night completed, plus the additional serrated Dirk. Ryu is just going flat armor pen, not going for the Black Cleaver, at least not yet. And he will have incredibly high damage when he does hit those. Lacking some CDR, so he's not able to spam them out as often. That's kind of the trade-off, but Inori here is lurking. And probably will go and look. They could look for a route here and try to jump in.
Oh, tries to get on Aphromoo. They'll be able to finalize that kill. Nicely done. Deadly Flourish was a little early, but still you can't blame it. They get the kill coming out of that. Zig now in the top lane as P1 takes bot. Interesting, Leandri's into his Merc Shreds. Maybe a little safer.
Yeah, just doesn't want to get locked down too badly there by Darshan. CLG looking to turn around on Inori though.
Wild Growth coming up big. Inori gets himself out alive. And that's going to be the ultimate from Stixxay. He'll have that back up by the next time they fight. So not too much wasted there. Summoner spells. Actually, Arrow did use his heal. I take that back. So that could be big coming up in the next fight. And Zig keeping himself safe here.
Inori has been doing very well. Set up a couple ganks there. Ryu is already matching this roam, expecting Xmithie might be up top side, trying to respond to that bot side pressure. So CLG gets nothing there. P1 gets another kill, another turret, extending vision, looking very, very strong. They're a much better team from ahead than behind.
It's like seeing this. Arrow takes mid now. Ryu started to move towards the top lane. It's kind of like in baseball when you got to cover a different base. Somebody takes your lane. You move up. make the play.
Exactly. Just keep moving around the map, controlling your weak spots,
Yep.
making sure you're there in case there is any dive to be threatened. So just that move from Ryu, even though he hasn't been involved in any kills yet, he has been where he needs to be. He has been moving around the map, covering his teammates, and always being able to keep up the pressure here too. CLG would love to try to get some of this turret gold back, but just have not had control of the lanes, and Xmithie has not really been able to get too involved as far as the ganks.
It happens to the best of us. It's actually interesting too because you do have a little room on the other side.
Yeah. His gun's just too big, Riv. It's stuck out the other side.
He'll stay in the bot lane. Huhi can't do much to go any further out as the team is losing their vision. It's finally being pushed in once again as P1 encroaches into that bot side jungle at red. A lot of words from CLG though. Do allow them to see P1 doing this, so at least they can stop themselves from getting taken out as they rotate back and forth.
And top lane has really just kind of been a farm fest for the most part. A couple visits from CLG, but Inori has not really bothered to go topside and looking for a pick down on the bot side.
He's like, yeah, you can see me. I see that. I'll still fight you. But that's
gotta respect the damage.
Exactly. That's Huhi in the bot lane. If he tries to approach a mid lane fight, he'll have a little bit less, and that could be the factor that gets it for P1. Darshan going in with the ult. TPs are up for the guys in the top lane right now, so they could come into this play. Looks like this one will just kind of fizzle out. Coming up on 20 minutes here, and P1 with all of their outer turrets standing continue to pressure CounterLogic Gaming.
The Shock Blast plus that Jhin ultimate combo is so nice. If you do tag one Shock Blast onto anyone, really, any squishy, you can immediately open up with the Jhin ultimate, make them retreat, and that alone pushes CLG back enough that there's no chance for them to really contest this Infernal. It's the second one in a row going P1's way. They have great vision. They are really controlling the bot side of the map, and that has been the way that they are getting their edges in this game. Feels like every time Inori does something bot, Xmithie just kind of wanders top and sees if there's anything he can do, and there never really feels like there is.
No. Somehow Zig is continuously staying alive at this turret. He's had so many parties from CounterLogic Gaming, but he just gets out. No presence either, so I don't know how he feels about it. Here comes Xmithie for one more. Three's a crowd. They're going to try to match this one again. Scrap shields on. He goes for the minion wave clear. Here comes the TP.
This could be turned around.
He might just get the kill on Xmithie by himself. Levels up from that one. Ryu over the wall to the skies. Bobs him down.
And Darshan might get chased down. We'll see if he can actually catch up to him. Doesn't look like he's going to bother.
It was close.
Yep. Nice TP from Ryu. Responds, picks up double buffs. Not bad.
That's got to feel good. So they do get something back for it. I was just saying, Zig stays alive. Cast a curse on him. I do apologize. Finally,
he was close. He almost got that 1v2 kill. Zig actually playing that quite well.
I thought it was actually going to be more towards Maokai, because that slow would have been fantastic.
One thing I will say is I feel like he actually should have used the equalizer there to fight. He used it to clear out the minion wave. Had he dropped that equalizer onto his Xmithie, he would have got that kill for sure. So, you know, just kind of doing what is instinctually what he's trained to do is clear out the minion wave, protect the turret. But he could have actually protected the turret by killing his opponents and then doing it that way too.
3 Edge of Night now. Inori, Ryu, and Arrow all synergizing quite well. We have not really going to be seeing one just yet on the side of CLG. Really at all. Where to next?
Xmithie is building his. Stixxay is building his as well. There's going to be 5
it's
in
just
this game.
It's just when. They have a bit of time to go. Actually, I can see that. And they are quite low on gold, so that won't come too soon. Over the wall, flash. He still gets himself into range. Upgraded spikes and claws means he's got to flash forward for that. And Ryu looks like it's going to be a buff trade back over. Xmithie's going to go down here.
Trapped down here. Darshan wants to TP and help them out, but I don't know if they can actually win this fight, even with Darshan's help. They are surrounded. It is a 4v3, and Huhi is low.
Ryu's down, doing quite a bit of communication right now, so the rest of the team can focus on the fight. Zig's in front. They're just sizing each other up, trying to figure out when they'll see the whites of their opponent's eyes, and it looks like it is going to be P1 that looked first.
That could be Baron. I mean,
Dropping
that's
CLG, and now they're going to head to Baron.
Yeah, that's an ace. They could go straight forward if they want to take the risk, and I think they will. Stixxay is up, Aphro is up, but they are pretty far away. There's no jungler on the table. Would have to be a miracle steal, and I think it's going to be dead before they even have a chance to get there.
Oh, Stixxay, he's close. Here he comes. It's going to be close. It's really close. Oh,
my God.
Dead. That was closer than I thought.
P1, you got to be kidding me. How does it happen again?
Don't joke a jokester.
We had the sneaky W, now this.
My word.
Oh my God. That should have been the straw that broke Campbell's back.
Where is it? Where's it at? How much?
He has smite and
Slow
Q.
that puppy down.
Oh my God. He smited it a little bit too early. He didn't actually combine his Q with the smite. So Q smite on Kha'Zix there is over 1,000 damage. If like at this point in the game, if you combine those two spells, that's all he had to do. He didn't wait for the Q cooldown. He was kind of spamming it out, basically just used the smite separately and I guess missed it.
I think we should stay away from Baron for the rest of the game.
Just brutal. That keeps CLG alive. I mean, not only does the gold not go over to their opponents, they collect the Baron gold, and they could potentially collect some turrets here too.
Whoa.
But P1 is closing in, looking for a fight.
Equalizer spread pretty close. Aphromoo is not going to be able to really get saved here. There's a hit. What? Xmithie gets hit again. One more, and it's Huhi's. Great step in. Deadly flourish on the ground. Captive audience, rather. And there's the kill from Inori. And then now on to CLG's Huhi. There's the spike. Slow him down. A few last attacks. A double kill for Inori. He has gone crazy in these last few fights to clean up the kills. And he is not happy about what just happened to Baron.
All right, he may have missed his smite, but he gets the kill. 7-0-3. He makes up for it. P1 are up big time in this game, and they are looking to close in and really shut CLG out of this.
My word. 24 minutes, second tier turrets are being hit up. P1 has still controlled the turret game throughout this. They just got stalled a little bit in the mid-game and are really trying to repair that Baron loss. They did not want Counterlogic Gaming to be able to use any minion wave. And now going for Darshan in the bot lane. Throws down the ultimate, just trying to buy time for the rest of the team. How much has he bought? It may be the
Tree of Life, baby.
Gets hit. The Tree of Life finally gets cut down, but it will regrow. Arrow and the rest of the team now trying to get out. And there's a hit from Stixxay onto Ryu. He was the lowest HP, but there still are bars that can be taken down. Inori, Adrian very low. I don't think Arrow is going to be the search. What is going on? Arrow fires back, takes down Aphromoo. And
like enemy at the gates, Riv. It's a sniper duel.
Finally closed out here. Wow. Let's see this again. These fights are going the long haul.
I mean, it is a 5v1, but it's also a full tank Maokai. Pretty healthy here. They decide to go for it. Darshan plays this very well, jumping back away from some of the damage dealers towards his team, living so long. And it does allow them to eventually get a kill or two back. Ends up being a 2-for-2 trade in the extended one, as we did see that kill, and then Arrow able to answer back and takes out Aphromoo.
It's like, you got long range, I got long range. Nicely done as well. I love when people try to take that shot as you're moving around a structure.
Right back to it.
Your distance is not denied, but you have less area to walk. Kill onto Xmithie as P1 starts to pile into Counterlogic Gaming's jungle. It seems like as soon as P1 takes a hit, they want right back into the fight, and we've been seeing it constantly since they lost that Baron.
Yeah, they've been just going for fight after fight. They know they are very far ahead, and they are trying to put on that full core press. Xmithie dying for the Infernal is still totally fine. It's a nice trade for CLG as long as they don't lose more during the time that he is down. And with the minion waves as they are, it does not look like they will. So not a bad job by CLG there, sneaking out that dragon and taking away from P1. You really don't want to allow, especially a no-tank team, to pick up the Infernals because they get so much from it, especially already having won. The 2-0 Infernal advantage is massive.
Still quite a few items in recipe form as we're only 26 minutes into this game with 22 kills. Ryu continuously soaking up the blues. He's been a huge factor for this team on Jayce, even only at 2-2 and 4, really helping to control Huhi down a bit and push those side lanes. 7-0-6 for Inori. And Arrow, 5-0-7. One of the games recently he hasn't gotten that Varus, still performing quite well.
Arrow has just been performing well almost every single game this season. He has looked so good, considered by many to be the best AD carry in the NALCS, at least right up there with the likes of Stixxay and guys like that. And now Huhi, he's caught out.
Oh, he jumps and flashes into Inori. That's the second time they've just been able to route CLG through their own second-tier turrets.
They just keep catching with the wraparound. They try to defend that turret. They come around with the flank, take you out very quickly, and you see Inori regenning right back up.
Very hard to stand on the front line. Aphromoo realizes just about only he can do it. He tries to put himself in danger for the team. CLG backing up. They have a few wards to their side, but that didn't stop Inori from coming in the first time when they felt they had the advantage. Darshan's locked up. Good shield coming in from Aphromoo. It didn't seem like he cared the second time either, but CLG did. They take down Inori as he gets a little ahead of himself there, thinking the team had Darshan going down.
Really nice catch there from CLG. Stixxay nailed that Chains of Corruption, and Darshan with no hesitation, flash, root, hits him with a Twisted Advance, and they take him down. That's a big shutdown for CLG, and that also keeps their turret alive, at least for a little bit.
It was patiently played by them. It's almost, they just kind of had P1 play into it. Waste as much as you want on Darshan, feel good about the situation, false sense of security. CLG attacks.
Very decisive.
Way to defend it.
I mean, Inori, if he didn't get caught there, the turret would have probably gone down on the next wave because Darshan expended his ultimate. He was low on HP. Just got a little bit too eager.
Definitely risky.
Made to pay for it.
Back to placing vision. We'll have Xmithie backing here. Probably not going to do too much without that damage on the side of CLG. But get these waves cleared. Stacking up on Stixxay's tier. Take a check. 384 out of 750. That still has quite a ways to go.
One little thing that's always kind of interesting to mention in these sorts of matchups when it's tank versus non-tank compositions is CLG doesn't really have to build any penetration items. They don't need armor penetration, magic penetration, so you can kind of skip Last Whispers and Void Staffs and things like this and not really worry about it, where there is that requirement for guys like Arrow and Ryu and eventually Inori to all build up their Last Whisper items. So even though they do have additional gold, they also have additional gold costs. They have to pick up those things, and CLG will be able to punch right through these guys because they're not building armor. So you have Huhi, who's building towards that rapid fire. You already have Stixxay on 3 items who got to skip his Last Whisper.
Really relying on that Edge of Night to save you in these fights. At least give you the upper hand to see what you're going to do next. Zig, a few more shots. Nicely done on the bot lane as P1 really just working this one slow. It seems like they've been getting nothing, but they're actually working off the ball. The other side of the map still in their favor here. Just about an 8,000 gold lead as it ticks.
Oh boy, back to Baron, Riv.
Let's do it. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, the Baron has been very problematic for both sides so far in this series. They have really struggled to play well around it. We'll see how Phoenix1 is going to be able to fare. I mean, they're a team that has double TP advantage. They're just looking for a pick, though.
Oh, okay. My word.
That'll work.
When the 5v5s aren't in your favor, you take the 5v1s. That's exactly what P1 looks for right now.
And that was the reward they get for having full vision control around there. But CLG moving over, going to look for another Miracle Steal. Let's see if they can get it. Inori needs to nail this one.
Now they're holding. They see him charging. They go over the fight. They're actually going to leave the team in the pit. Inori going quite low, able to throw on the invisibility. He gets out, taken over by Arrow. They should be able to walk this one out, the fast back home. Arrow actually going in for the fight. I'm not sure if they fully want this. They do have good looks on the HP bars of CLG, but it gets scary. And they are going to start to back off. Very smart move. 20 seconds on Cloud Drake. They should be able to repair something if Arrow just doesn't take that for himself after a quick push here in mid.
I was watching Stixxay charge up that Arrow with the Baron at 300 HP, and if he had
P1 stopped though.
Could have gone for it.
It was good.
It was definitely very close. But Inori never got back into the pit, so they never had a smite on the Baron. So they do clean it up. They get 2 kills. They get the Baron. They have a massive advantage. Should be able to clean up yet another dragon here for themselves. So everything is in the favor of P1.
For sure.
And now they have to use this to crack the base. You can't allow CLG to hang around and hang around and hang around until they get that kind of miracle engage. And you need to be able to bully them down, push them off the turrets, and crack those inhibitors, because that is going to be the key to victory with this Baron for P1. CLG honestly should probably just give up the outer. They want to try to clear the waves and trim the minion waves before they get Baron empowered. But if you try to defend too vigorously outside your base, very easily can get knocked down.
There's question marks on that top side. Nobody's here, but I am going to try to take it. I may need your help. Looks like Zig actually isn't going to find any contest for this turret. All lanes are being pushed. CLG is going to get spread thin, and they're going to have to make a choice soon.
Yeah, exactly. You pull them apart, 1-3-1. You have the double TP. It's going to be tough to answer some of these split pushers, as the Jayce can walk right up to those turrets and knock them down so fast. Darshan can't really deal with him super well at this point in the game. Oh, Stixxay taking a lot of damage. That is rough for CLG. They need him up there for that wave clear.
Looks like Huhi is able to hold off Zig, but that takes Huhi away from being able to poke down mid. It's been up to basically Xmithie to get end of the lines on these. And we'll see Stixxay come back in just a second. They might realize he's gone.
These turrets are getting low. CLG is going to have to decide, do you back off or do you hard engage? One more wave and this turret should die. Darshan's on the side.
He almost tried. Look to the base gate entry there.
Yeah.
Nice wards by P1, keeping them safe
backing off.
On the left and right shoulder here.
Arrow has critically taking some damage there, so it's good for Stixxay because Jhin doesn't have any lifesteal. They want to try to poke him out, but they're going to push in. They're going to use the equalizer here.
They have a quarter of Baron left. Huhi comes around from the side and drops Arrow to half. He's going to be a bit healthy though. Ryu does go down. Focus on the turret from Zig. They want to get that opened up as they turn around to drop Huhi. He just went too far into the fight, and the rest of CLG could not approach the front line. Inori throwing out spikes, coming very close. Aphromoo going to live after he pops that biscuit to save his own, and they're going to get out of this one with that middle inhibitor.
Really close fight. Huhi went into the backline there, probably trying to take down Arrow, barely not able to get it. Ryu barely not able to kill off Stixxay, so could have been very close to an ended game there for P1. They get the inhibitor though, and let's watch the fight once more. You can see Ryu diving in, not able to actually finish off that execution. He was exhausted, he was rooted up, CC'd very quickly, and then Huhi on the backside wants to try to wrap around and take out Arrow, but you can't really do that into that kind of team competition. Getting polymorphed up, and Inori now looking for a kill.
Ooh, bye-bye Aphromoo.
Oh no,
could be the cut down on Stixxay. These guys get caught out in the middle of mid lane. Coming out of the replay. This is exactly what Aphromoo said coming into today. P1 is a team that'll grab the champions they just want to play, and they will continue to fight you over and over. We have to find a way to stop that game too. CLG was not able to stop it. Now P1 knocking on the door.
Oh, they got Zig.
Drops immediately. That was wild growth on as well. They don't have too much defense. P1 still has to go pedal to the metal, and they will not stop trying to lock down the damage from Arrow. Darshan going for the damage, but he goes down himself. They're going to be dropping the Nexus turrets. And P1 turning things around from game 1, 25-9. We're going to a game 3.
Strong game 2 performance for P1. They battled back and really had control start to finish of this one. 12-1-10 for Inori on the Kha'Zix. Just a ridiculous scoreline as he makes up for the Baron blunder, and they take a win.
It's interesting because you do see that much emotion on the stage, but usually not in the middle of a game. We've definitely seen it more this year through players, but that emotion can definitely take control of you as well. We have seen it kind of just turn players around and not allow them to do the things, just as Inori said before, kind of having those jitters, not knowing what to do from behind. But from in front, in the lead, they've been doing quite well, and they were actually able to hold that lead 12-1-10. For Inori in that one, and Arrow was 7-0-11.
Yeah, they looked really good that game for the most part. I mean, even Zig, not with the most impressive scoreline, but he got a lot of attention and not a lot of help from his team. You know, Xmithie was totally up there time and time again. He was able to hold his turret. He was able to play defensively and allow his team to get those edges around the rest of the map. So a great game from P1 here in game 2. And it's going to go the distance.
We are going the distance. From on that P1 win, we've got Mark and Freak ready to break down that game 2.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast so far. You got another one coming up, which is going to be exciting to watch. And let's talk about the fact that Phoenix1 made the comeback happen against CLG. We were worried that after that comeback loss, they just tilt and everyone blows up and self-implodes. And didn't happen here.
Right, and I think the way that they did it was actually pretty impressive given the team comp that they have. They basically have a no tank, very minimal CC team comp, and those can be really hard to execute, but they did it really well, and I think one of the big parts was the fact that once again, we see Inori on Kha'Zix. This is one of his best champions. Both games, CLG has had a chance to keep him off it by taking it away, and they have chosen not to, prioritizing the Maokai over it. And I think it worked out game 1. Game 2, he's clearly not tilted, not worried about that, played a great game, and I think that they need to do something about him potentially moving forward.
I definitely agree that Kha'Zix is a very big deal with Inori, and talking about players who are doing well, the difference in bot lane I felt was pretty big as well. We had Aphro, I feel like, make several brain dead plays at the end of the game, like 0-7 and 4, something kind of silly, and on the other side, it felt like Adrian and Arrow are playing exceptionally well and have like nearly immaculate KDAs.
Right, I think a lot of us have been saying that we expect Arrow, kind of call him the best AD carry in the league right now.
Number 1, really.
Yeah, and even though he didn't have the most kills, a lot of the plays that P1 had set up were off the back of his Jhin ultimate and slowing people down and setting up the kills. So he had a great game, and like you said, Aphro, it's just sometimes the first blood, he was just, his AD carry is recalling in lane, he's just standing too far up and gets jumped on and killed. He has a tendency to make these kinds of plays, which is so strange for such a veteran player.
Yeah, so, and it goes back to the storyline. Oh, it's Aphro hard carrying, or Aphro, why aren't you playing as well as you're supposed to because you're better than this? And it's truly counter logic. He's sometimes the best, and sometimes he's just kind of miserable. So let's move forward a little bit in the game. We have, despite how well the early game went for P1, Stixxay tries to put his carry pants on, put him into the backpack, and he gets the nice Baron steal, and I want to kind of show the replay of this happening because it's somewhat undeserved, but it's kind of beautiful.
Right, it's actually a really long sequence where CLG was forcing a play, hopefully around the top side. They're trying to get that. They take a turret down. This opens Arrow up to go onto Stixxay at the very beginning of this. They kill him at the start of this fight, and CLG's like, okay, they're forcing mid. Let's force top. We'll blow Ryu up 1-for-1. Great. Good TP in here by Zig, getting the flank onto the rest of CLG, and turns into a pretty scrappy fight overall, where now CLG's pinned up on the top side, getting cut off.
And Darshan TP's in to be part of a 3v4, essentially. Like, the bot lane's already dead, and he's like, yeah. Let's give him another kill, let's just buy some more time, which, I mean, I guess pays off as buying time, but they're opting into a pretty bad scenario.
Right, and so P1 plays it out pretty slowly, which I like. Obviously, that ult by Zig was not like the highest damage one, but it did stop the escape and give them time to close in and perform this actually coordinated kill where they pick up all 3 very cleanly. The thing was, this play has taken so long that by the time P1's like, great, 3 more kills, let's go Baron, Stixxay's up, and he gets a pretty lucky Baron steal here.
Yeah, I guess it is less brutal than a sneaky W, but a Stixxay Q is about as good. And
you see what's so sad? They threw a control ward over the wall instead of putting it in the pit, making sure he can't get that snipe. So that was a little disappointing to see out of the side of P1, but that didn't really slow their game down at all. From there, they were able to make a number of other great plays. Another one being in the bot lane where they had a big fight as well.
And that's really worth pointing out, the fact that, like, okay, P1's not tilting quite as hard. That's really good. That, you know, they can give away.
They can keep giving up these Baron steals and be fine.
But at least they do okay, right? And we've got, some cleanup here, and it's just Arrow with the shooting gallery. That's beautiful, right? He lands lots on these targets. That's probably just getting killed there, and it's also just Inori hopping around. He, actually at the end of the game, almost got an unofficial pentakill, got stolen away by Adrian, but I mean, he's just blasting people.
Right, so it's a little bit of a tag team here where Inori opens the team up and then Arrow opens the team up and then Inori goes in for the cleanup. And one of the things I have to compliment Arrow on is just his positioning. It's so immaculate. You see other Jhins open up and there's a tank right in front of him, or there's a carry who's flanking him and they can't get all their ultimates off correctly. I almost never feel like I'm watching Arrow shooting either Varus Qs or Jhin ultimates and being like, oh, that's not the right time to be doing that or anything. He almost never makes a mistake like that.
Yeah, and you can see the damage graph right here.
High damage team comp.
Inori, yeah, exactly, right? It's Inori only being out-damaged by the Rumble in the top lane, only by a couple thousand there, otherwise out-damaging everyone else in the game, and well-deserved. And we saw bot lane doing well as the jungle is kind of the big contributors here from Phoenix1. And again, we give player of the game to Inori specifically because the fact that he had kind of by some of his own work got the bot lane rolling in the first place, but it was a tag team. I think you could have been debatable here. I mean, even Adrian, I think, was considerable by being the support that keeps people alive. But either way, I mean, Inori was obviously explosive.
Yeah, he's obviously shown that he's not going to tilt all the time. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a struggle. It's never like, oh, I've solved my tilting issues or I can't get over them. It's a struggle. And this game looked like he was over it. He didn't have to worry about the Baron steal that lost him the game from game 1. Game 2, they lost another Baron, still closed the game out cleanly. So P1 looking pretty good right now.
So final prediction, who's going to win Game 3?
I'm going to go with P1 because I think they should have won Game 1 as well. I mean, CLG has shown that they can make good plays, but they seem to not put a whole game together, not a complete game, whereas Phoenix1 here put a complete game together for me.
All right, so Phoenix1 looking like a bit more of a complete team. We'll see if that ends up being the case, and if they can take down Game 3, we'll be back just a little bit to see who actually wins this series when we return from commercial break. You're watching the North American LCS.